Where's my folder full of promos gone? I need to surround my stuff with L5R so that, I have all this inspiration to draw from.
Well, I don't know why I'm listening tonight. I got a feeling that the cards just ain't right. I'm so salty, must not give in to rage. And I'm wondering what those rollers will say. Scars still left of me, cheers to the right. Here I am, gonna roll a derby tonight. Gonna roll a derby tonight. Gonna roll a derby tonight.
All right. I guess we're back. We're back after how many weeks? 4 weeks?
All of the time. Life has been happening. I've been all over the state, all over the place here, Broome and fucking down south. And
yeah, you went to like a cabin in the woods with the lads. How was that?
It was good. That's how, I think it was like year 6 we've done that now. Year 6, year 8. Started as one of the guys like Bucks night, like his bachelor party. We went down there and it was a nerd version of bachelor party, so we just got...
It does sound a bit like that. Board games in the woods. Was it like adult board games? It better have been adult board games.
Not in a sexy way, but in like a we were pretty fucking hammered. Like we weren't there to fuck spiders. We were there to fucking get drunk and play shitty nerd games. So it was good. It was good times. Yeah, Mark was down there as well. He had a good run. It was your second round, I think, wasn't it?
It was. It was pretty good.
Yeah. So no, it was good. It's a good weekend. You go down there on the Friday. Everyone hits a brewery on the way down. That's like the starter. That's how you.
Perfect. Is that like that's the pub crawl at the start? Is it like you drive a couple Ks, have a schooner, drive a couple more Ks,
then you hit a kangaroo?
Yeah, no, it's more like you drive 100 Ks, go to the brewery, then you drive another 150 Ks, and you get there. So it's like, it's not a trivial drive. But
speaking of hitting a kangaroo, when I came back to Hong Kong from Australia after the Kote, I brought at the airport you can get like emu jerky and crocodile jerky and kangaroo jerky, that type of stuff. I brought that back for my colleagues here and gave it to them because over here it's kind of a tradition that when you go away you have to bring back a gift for the people that didn't get to go away.
Eat my native fauna.
That's right. Yeah, they were pretty horrified. It was hilarious.
Yeah, mate, kangaroo's actually not bad.
Kangaroo's pretty good, yeah.
Crocodile's weird. Tastes like, I don't know, rubbery chicken.
I don't know. The smell of kangaroo and the fact that they try to hit my car occasionally. I'm not.
I will point out that you probably eat a lot of cows, and they don't smell that great either. And that if you were to hit your car with them, your car comes off a lot worse than it does a roo.
That's a good point.
You can get you guys know, right? But for the listeners, they probably don't know that you can get kangaroo steak in Australia.
Yeah,
like you can
from Woolworths supermarket. And it's like
it's completely normal.
Yeah, like garlic and herb sauce and stuff. It's really good.
Yeah, I think I took a similar thing to Worlds one year. Mel Palmer wanted to do like Mel versus food, and it was like stuff that she hadn't tried before. And she was similarly horrified when she had to try kangaroo and crocodile jerky.
No, kangaroo's fine. Like it's just, I mean, it's not super.
I think
it's a bit gamey. It's very strong taste.
It is, but that's why you destroy it with garlic. Like beat the shit out of it.
Garlic jerky.
Anyway, that's it for the Hidden City Rollers chef segment.
Yeah. We didn't cook it, we just bought it. Anyway, so I think the plan is this time, because we've been off the air for quite a while, we're going to do a double segment, right? Like a double episode.
Yeah, I think we'll knock it out today and then do one tomorrow with our Lord and Master, the Khan of Cans.
The Khan of Cans?
Yeah, it's a Khan of Cans.
Yeah. Khan of Canberra? It's pushing it a little, I think. Yeah, so we're going to get Paul on the cast tomorrow, and we'll talk about the Australian Kote and how he managed to navigate through and not hit any of his bad matchups and absolutely destroy all of his opponents and become the first ever in the new LCG L5R Unicorn Kote winner. That's it. Nobody else is going to be able to claim that.
Good stuff. Oh, we've got Mark on the cast, by the way. Should introduce
Oh,
him
shit.
with the Discord handle Stay Moist.
Yes.
That-
Hello.
That's a deliberate.
That's him.
Mark?
Mark, you will have seen. Who are you on Jigoku, Mark?
I'm
Presumably.
Cardinay on Jigoku.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Cardinay on Jigs. So you would have played him on there. He has been around. He hit Kote, plays lots of games, and he's a staple WA player.
Yep, and I did manage to lose in 2 turns to the Khan of Khans, which was a good time.
That's all right. You lost.
That's pretty good. What were you playing? Lion, right?
I was playing Lion. I flipped, I mulliganed away Yujiaki, and then I flipped him 3 times in the first 2 turns and died to Paul. It was fun.
I hear Ijiaki's pretty good against Unicorn.
Yeah, especially in the first turn. It's great.
All right. Well, this episode, we're going to talk about the new roles because that is clearly the new hotness right now. And
Yeah.
since we are in the right time zone, we get to talk about it first before anybody else. So I'll edit this episode and see if I can get up tonight so that everybody can wake up in the morning to a new episode.
Exciting.
In and around this discussion, we also had we called out for listener questions and things like that. So I'm going to do a quick plug. If you haven't sort of liked our Facebook page, it's pretty much the only thing we have. We don't have Twitters and we don't have Facebook groups or Reddit groups or whatever. But that is where we put up most of our posts about episodes and stuff. So go like the page, and if you want to ask a question, the latest post, you can put up a question. We'll talk about it maybe tomorrow.
We also don't have a Patreon, but if you want to just direct debit,
If you want to just give us some money,
feel
that's
free.
fine.
If you want to just throw me money, because that's great. I'm on board. I mean, usually I have to swing around a pole to get that kind of action, but it's all good. But yeah, so questions. There was a question I think we were going to tackle tonight, yeah?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think when we do the questions, we should just work them into the conversation because they're kind of broad topics, all right? So we can just have a discussion around them. But from the local group, Clinton's asked, is it possible to have constructive criticism without getting on a soapbox of pointless rants? So I think this has kind of come off the back of, GenCon and all the 25% of the field was Phoenix, and of the Phoenix, like 3/4 of the Phoenix players were playing what I'm calling Firequackers, commonly known as Echo Bird, Dredge Bird.
Dredge Bird.
Yeah.
No, so the short answer is, in regards to that deck, the Dredge Bird, can you have constructive criticism? I mean, no is the answer, because it's awful and it doesn't feel very excusable. Like I think everybody gets suitably outraged at those sort of things. Like when something's just busted and shit, there's no constructive criticism to be given, right? Like what can you say that's constructive? Nothing, because you can't do anything. You just go, well, this bird deck is garbage and it's crap and it's dominating.
Yeah, but surely you can actually surely you can give feedback about what I should do about the deck. After the main event, we were having a conversation similar to that in our hotel room at GenCon, and one of the guys there was like, "Well, I'm playing Crab. What do I do against the deck?" And we played a game, and we just talked through all of the decision points that were being made, and the usual things would come up. You got to pressure the opponent's hand. You got to pressure the opponent's economy, things like that. Surely there's constructive criticism to be had.
Is there though? Because what you've just described though are things you do every game for every deck. Like if you have the tools to pressure your opponent's hand, then you do that anyway. The problem with that Dredgebird deck is that it has the tools to deal with all of that. Because if you pressure the hand, that's fine, but they're just recurring it with KI, right? With Cutenissor. They just bring it back anyway. If you're milling the top of their deck, you're probably just helping them. If you're grinding those things away because you're finding those cards for them. Like there's not really, like I can't, other than it's just a bad combination that shouldn't really happen. There's too much.
Does it mean you can't?
To be said.
Maybe before I respond, what do you think, Mark?
Well, clearly the deck's broken. Broken decks are not new though; that they happen. I think the real question is about the conversation around it and how to go about talking about it. I think in the wake of GenCon, things got a little ridiculous on the forums. People got a little bit carried away.
Didn't you?
I've
You wanted to
I've been
give
monstered by the deck a few times, and there's some problems. But I think we should also probably calm down and be a little bit more rational about how we talk about it.
Okay, we should have been more clear at the start, though. That kind of measured and common sense response to things isn't welcome on this podcast. Yeah, this is a seedier pants fucking trial by fire bunch of bullshit. So,
Look,
how could I
okay.
be-
Well, if you want me to soapbox, it's
okay,
broken.
let me help. What about
And the way that it's broke, the way that they're proposing balancing it, from what I can tell, is by roll locking it, and that's a joke.
What about no hound? I can help. Did you not try to play the bird deck, the dredge bird yourself for a bit, and before you even started playing, you got yelled at and like
Yeah,
screamed at on Goku?
I've played it.
really?
I have played it exactly once, and I completely walked over my opponent, who was a very angry lion player who had some choice things to say to me about what kind of person I was for playing that deck.
Mhm.
Fantastic.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to take an unpopular opinion. I don't know that we've actually had enough time with the deck to actually decide or actually come up with whether it's imbalanced or how you're going to deal with it and things like that. And I'm going to give you guys some examples, or I'm going to give you guys some sound bites to chew on. So before the Sydney Cote, Conan, my nemesis, and I were talking about this deck. And actually, before, just as an aside, we were talking about it on this podcast and how amazingly good this deck feels to play and pilot and all this type of thing, right? We might have been the only podcast to do that. Comment if you disagree. Yeah, we're talking about it, and we're kind of talking about how Crab do basically the same thing, right? They get their Borderlands Defender or something like that, and then they play Reprieves on it. They play Vanguard Warriors on it. They play Iron Mines on it, and things like that. They do this. They have the same game plan, which is getting insane amounts of value. Crab and Phoenix are tied, I think, for Cote wins in this season. Nobody else is. I mean, nobody else is tied. Nobody else is. They both kind of do the same thing in my mind. Yeah, what do you think?
Well, keeping expensive guys around for free turns out to be pretty good.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like it just doesn't feel as cheaty, right? It doesn't feel as, you know, it when your opponent, when you keep bringing back like 5-cost guys, it feels like you're cheating. But if you keep a 5-cost guy around that you've already paid for, that doesn't feel like cheating for some reason. That's mine.
But there's an investment, right? There's a very big difference between I'm building an enormous tower that I've paid for, and now I'm just keeping that wall up, and I just pay 2 fate and I've got a giant monster, and when the giant monster goes away this turn, I get a free extra giant monster, and I can pick out of this array of 6 or 7 I have in my discard pile, right? Like, and choose what I need right now. Like, it's a very, very different thing. And
I don't think it is. I don't think you've actually illustrated that it's actually a really different thing. Because in one case you're paying 2 fate, 3 fate, something like that, to buy like a Fuchicho from the bin or charge it in or something like that, and then it goes away and it brings another one in. You've still got X amount of value for Y amount of investments, which is the same in my mind. You bring a Hida Casada out and you keep him around for a 0 fate investment from an Iron Mine, a 0 fate investment again from a Reprieve to get the Iron Mine back, or 1 fate investment for a Reprieve, or a 2 fate investment for Vanguard Warrior. It's the same thing.
I feel like with the Crab deck, you had to work to maintain your board state, whereas with the Phoenix deck, you just threw a bunch of cards down and suddenly you had a bunch of really powerful 5-drops on the table for nothing.
Yeah, man, Dredgebird the investment you put out for Dredgebird is insignificant compared to what Crab have to lay out. Crab have to build turn by turn. After like 2 turns, they've got a big guy, and at the end of like turn 2 and then onwards, they can do that maintenance, right? Because they only have 1 or 2 fate.
No, man,
They don't do a lot.
I think
But-
they're doing it from at least turn 2 onwards, which is about when I think Firequackers is doing it. I'm going to keep that meme up, by the way, through this whole
That's fine.
podcast.
Firequackers.
Firequackers.
But no, so I think the fate investment is way different, and also the consistency of it. Like you can, like Crab feels stoppable, like you can still do stuff. Like the guys are limited, whereas the Dirty Bird is just fucking. They drop the bird on the table because it's in the discard if they got Satoshi, or they can just play it turn 1. It doesn't really matter because once you get it off the table, it just comes back again.
Yeah. So I agree, Crab is stoppable,
With
but I
extra
think
stuff.
Crab is stoppable because we've had a decent amount of time to figure it out. Whereas this has been around for like a month. We haven't really figured it out.
My experience with Dredgebird as well, that one game where I copped a bit of abuse, I actually didn't play Forebearers Echoes or Charge or Fushiko. I just
there you go.
I just Maya Satoshi got my the holding.
Mm.
Phoenix player can tell me what that holding's called. You know the one.
No, I don't. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Karate.
And
Kanjo,
yes, yeah, Kanjo. And then just won from there. It was very easy, and the deck didn't even fire. Yeah. And it seemed like cheating. It really did.
A Kanjo district does always feel like cheating. And don't get me wrong, I don't disagree that things about the deck shouldn't be fixed. If that ends up happening, I think based on data, I don't really have a problem with it. The thing is that I think we do have a gigantic overreaction to how the deck actually plays. I don't think any other deck has really brought that type of archetype to bear, and I think it's just a knee-jerk reaction from a community. If nothing happened to fix the deck, I reckon the meta would settle and players would introduce things in order to deal with the deck. I've been playing it for a couple of months before GenCon, felt great. At GenCon, I didn't play as well as I should have, could have, whatever. And I didn't go so far with the deck. Lots of people did, but I kind of feel like that is probably as a result of it being new and people not knowing how to deal with it.
I mean,
I think
they are new
you had it
tools,
6 months in.
But okay, so I'll qualify all this by saying I don't mind playing against that deck. Like I think it's fine and fun, right? And it's okay, but it is stronger than other things. And I don't agree that the amount of carry on about that deck is necessarily unwarranted, because I think it is another level. I think it is decidedly tier 0 as opposed to other stuff. The last time anyone complained this hard about any deck was when Dragon were at their apex, and they were not as strong as that. It's just
you don't think that Dragon Seeker of Fire deck from back in the day was as strong as this?
No,
that was
I don't at all.
That province row where you didn't want to attack.
Yeah, but honestly, I don't because you just went, oh yeah, and that's fine. You just scouted a bit or whatever, but you have to do that with every deck. Like what you're talking about, Merlin, with find a solution to the Dredgebird is all well and good, but if you have to sit there and think about that specific deck every time you're building another deck because you're going to play against it competitively, and that deck is defining the entire meta, like that says a lot. I think that's the problem. I mean, I don't want to go over
the nature of the game, man.
No, and I understand that, but that's very warping. What you want is people to be able to play their own thing, right?
Yeah. So when you go to a competition, right? You take a deck that's going to be good but not great against the widest variety of the opposition as you think you're going to find. And whether it's this deck or whether it's another deck, you have to do the same thing. You have to go through the same process of what am I going to see and how likely do I think that is, and maybe I can take a loss in X matchups to gain a benefit in Y matchups by including these cards in my deck.
Maybe
That whole process is essentially the metagame. And
yes, to a great degree, but as far as fun goes, even competitively, Like you need for people to be able to pursue their own win condition, right? Like here's how I want my deck to
Yeah.
function. And if you're having to really, really knuckle down on that, on like Dredgebird as the example, then that takes away from everybody else's, first of all, fun, which is super important, but it makes it way harder because every other matchup, and you're never going to have 50% Dredgebird, right? So if you were to cater to that because it's going to steamroll you fairly consistently, then all the other matchups you're at a decided disadvantage. And I understand that's part of the game, but I think it's too much. There are
How do
there
you
are
cater to it?
yeah, well, that's the question, I guess. Kikuyo, but I think Dredgebird just has too many really good tools that individually are strong but not busted. But the 4 or 5 of them all together are shocking. Like, and one of them is Cute Nisua, the other one is Charge, the other one's for Shishu, and then obviously Forebearer's Echoes was the bit that hammered it down, and the fact that Forebearer's Echoes is a spell.
It was the rug. It was the rug that pulled the room together.
Yeah, I think
but it Echoes being recurable is if it wasn't recurable, right? Like if it was I don't know, like say it was a reaction, for example, and you couldn't recur it properly, that would be fine. Like it wouldn't feel anywhere near as bad.
Yeah, that sort of void package that can be brought in onto the board for free. I know last time I played the bird deck was when Clinton was playing it, and he brought out Katie and Eugenia, and it was horrible. There's not a lot you can do about that. It just destroys your board, and he didn't pay for any of them. And absolutely monstered me. It wasn't. And it was sort of like, and I knew playing it because I was playing Lion. I said, I've got to win this in 3 turns, or I've lost.
Yeah.
And I lost on turn 3 anyway. But
yeah, the bird kicks off. So I mean, obviously, every other podcast out there has already been well. Topic. But
I tell you what, I will tell you what I will pay. I will pay that. I don't ever want to play a game and play cards where my opponent feels like shit, right? I don't want to play a game where my enjoyment comes at the expense of my opponent, right?
So you're never going to play Crone. Okay.
That is the yeah, right. That is the only time that's the only thing that I object about to the whole bird situation, right? Is that if my opponent's feeling like they just don't want to play the game, it's not fun, they feel oppressed, then I'm not cool with that. But power levels, metagame,
I don't think
that
bird
stuff,
deck does that. I don't think it's a negative play experience to play against. It's just too strong.
I don't feel bad playing against it. I'm fairly confident. I know I've got a massive uphill battle. Look at it that way. If I see that deck start to kick off the other hill, like, okay, there's rough times ahead. It's going to get choppy. And, my odds
isn't what you're describing.
Reduced.
It's not as frustrating as playing against a Daisho deck or a really hard control Crane deck that just doesn't let you play the game.
Yeah, where you just you can't really do stuff. That's just like, that's kind of shit.
Oh, there you go. Aren't they kind of, that sound like examples of bad matchups for that deck? Like if the Firequackers deck kind of came into prominence, maybe you would see a surge in that style of Crane play.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, I can't remember which podcast was talking about it, but like clan loyalty is a really big thing in this game too.
Sure.
You kind of need just about every clan to be able to have tools to deal with whatever comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's fine. I mean, and it's worth noting that as of right now, for the next 3 months, it's perfectly balanced because you can't do it anyway. So there's that.
Do you think we've had a constructively criticizing conversation about that deck and the meta?
No, it was just me being reasonable and you spreading lies.
So isn't that constructive criticism?
Didn't feel constructive.
I don't know. I think
it covered the basics. The deck's too strong, but at the same time, take a deep breath and relax. It's just a game.
I'm not entirely sure that Clinton's question actually came as like a question for that deck, but there was like a catalyst, like some sort of convergence of issues that seemed to arise on Facebook around the time at the end of GenCon.
Yeah,
definitely this was in there. Were there others, like other topics?
There was one post that got spoken about on other podcasts.
Oh yeah, but then one of the locals here actually. Yeah, but then one of the locals here came in and said, I don't really feel like, I want to play again anymore because of all of the turmoil that's going on online.
Well, if turmoil
That's-
online is putting you
it's
off
the
playing a
internet,
card
mate.
game with your friends, then I'm not sure that's the
Oh, well,
correct
that's
response.
That's how the internet
that's
do.
not too fair, right? Because it's a community, right? Online or not, it's a community that you're a part of. It's turmoil in the community.
Yes, but
I
you
feel
can
like
ignore the online community if they're bothering you.
I feel like
It's
communities
not too
online need a
hard to do.
different name because I think it's unfair to communities to call online groups of people communities. I think it needs to be like a horde or a swamp or something like that to describe an online community because they are inherently different places to everywhere else that you might use that term.
And
I saw a really good.
I think I made this point before where when I play L5R in person, I've never had a bad experience with another player.
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
always
yeah, I completely
so
agree. Yeah,
everyone that I've met in this community is a good person, and then online there's a different vibe, I suppose.
So where you engage with the masses and everything goes to hell. That's it.
yeah. I don't think that's unique to L5R.
No, I don't know. If you sit down in a room with magic people, you can get prickly. like,
So anyway, I guess what I was trying to point out was I do think that you can actually have healthy conversation about problems. Yeah,
you can, but sometimes you just got to get shit off your chest.
sure.
And sometimes that shit you got to get off is a giant flaming bird.
A flaming turd on your chest. Hey, I was going through some old cards the other day, and I didn't think Fushicho was a thing in the old game, but I found a spell that actually has like a summon Fushicho. It was a spell in the old game,
There's in
and you know how big he
Evolution-
was?
How big?
He was the size of a person's palm. Like it was just this
Oh.
guy, and he had just summoned like this mini Fushicho, mini-cho in his.
Yeah,
In his
no,
hand.
there was in Emperor
I'm
Edition. There was
picturing-
definitely a Firebird of some kind for Phoenix. It was a little one. It was like a 3/2 or something, far less significant.
I'm picturing
Oh,
the
yeah.
dragon from Mulan, played by Eddie Murphy. I don't know. If
What's his
that's...
name?
Right.
Mushu, the little red dragon. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I actually bought some artwork at GenCon as well off of Charles Urbach, and Fushicho is on the Brilliant Rebirth Temple stronghold that he did. So that's going to be on my wall. That's going to be my commemoration of the Firebird deck, right? If I can never have it again, that thing is going to be on my wall, and it will remind me forever of Firequackers.
Nah. Look, as I said, like I don't mind that the Firebird deck is out there. I just acknowledge that it's super strong and well above the curve, like by a substantial margin. I understand why people are mad about it.
Yeah, I understand why people are mad about it, but yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. So, GenCon Constriticism. Oh, it rolls.
How was GenCon, first of all?
Oh, GenCon.
Did it suck and was awful?
No, of course not. I mean, how can GenCon suck? I guess it wasn't as impressive to me as the first time that I went. Probably because like a couple of different things. I didn't go with any sort of close friends. Like the first time that I went with Rob, and the two of us just had this amazing time. Right? There's no cabin in the woods, but it was a really good time. So this time it was, I guess, a little bit diminished in that regard, but it was still huge, and there was still heaps to see, and I still loved catching up with everyone, right? Anil, champion, and his mum, right, who was adorable, by the way, put me up for a night because stupid me forgot to booked like the flight in the day early, so he put me up on Tuesday before the hotels and stuff opened. So
Champion.
shout out to him. I don't think he
Doesn't
listens to my podcast
that-
anymore.
Doesn't seem to be especially reasonable that he gets to be a very good person and also an amazing. That's a bit shit. He's taking too many things.
Yeah. So the day that I arrived, like massively jet lagged and all that type of thing, we played a bunch of practice games, and he just batted me back and forth like a cat playing with a mouse. I was playing Firequackers, and he was playing. I think it was his Dragon deck. Yeah, it was his Dragon deck, and he was just like, "Oh, I'll just Indomitable Will, and I'll get more force than you because I've got lots of attachments, and I'll one punch man you in the face." And it's fucking horrible. I didn't win a no, I did. I won a single game. That was it.
That's all right. Badge of honor.
Yeah.
Fuck it, move on.
But I think also maybe just a little bit of a callback. Player skill means a lot in this game,
yeah.
right? Super deck or no, like it's just knowledge, game knowledge, and card knowledge and mechanical knowledge that's going to get you through.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the fact that like your average opponent's deck, if they were to put 3 of everything in a deck, like really that's what, maybe 12 cards to a conflict deck, for example. So you can kind of, that game experience and game knowledge lets you really sort of, you can leverage a lot from reading or predicting what's in your opponent's deck based on their role, of which there are 2 now. It's
I can.
Legend of the 2 Rings now is this game.
Legend of the 2 Rolls.
Yeah, that's right.
Should we chat about that?
Yeah.
Well,
I think we should.
I want to do a couple more sort of shout-outy type things for GenCon.
Do the thing.
So the things that stand out in my mind, the things that I recall most strongly actually, were the team event. So I didn't plan on going in the team event, but on the day I was just kind of hanging around the hall, and 2 guys came up and said, "Hey, I love the podcast. Do you want to be on our team?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's do that." And that event was so much fun. We should do more team events at big sort of things, or even at local stores. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So how did the team event play out? Like, what did that entail?
So the format is basically the same as the 1v1 format, except that instead of one person, you have three games going on at the same time, and your score per team is kind of the aggregated total. So if one team got 2 or more wins, they would win that round. Yeah. So if one player won and the other 2 lost on a team, that team is the losing team, and the winning team advances up the bracket.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that. But, you're sitting with your friends. You can talk to each other on your same team about strategy, or at least that's the way we were doing it.
Oh, so you coach each other through the...
Yeah, you can be like, hey,
That's
is this the right time to invest into this conflict? And you just have a quick chat about it. You still have a time limit you have to play in, but, it's a thing you can do.
That.
And is there rules as far as clans? So you can all play the same clan, or does it have to be different? Or?
You all have to be different clans, and one player on the team is the captain, and the teams will roll off at the start, and the captains will choose the first matchup, and then the captain of the team that won the roll will choose the first matchup, and then they will alternate. So the captain of the team who didn't win will choose the next matchup, and then obviously there's only one matchup left. So you can look at your opponent's team and say, all right, you've got a crane, a phoenix, and a lion, and we've got a scorpion, dragon, and a crab. What's the best matchup here? And if you win the roll, you can sort of you can force that good matchup, and then your opponent will choose the next best matchup and proceed that way.
That's neat. I like it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
More stuff like that. I think I'd love to play so many different variations, like Daimyo format and all that other stuff. I struggle to play regular games of L5R, like to get even basics in. Like probably most games I play, I would probably play as many in-person competitive games as I do other in-person games over here.
Mm-hmm.
Like the 3 or 4 I knock out in a day when we do competitive events is probably the same number that I would play in person elsewhere. There's obviously Jigoku grinding you can do now and then, but even that's pretty few and far between. So being able to have the time to push in other formats of games, I think would be super good fun. I'd be super keen.
I did play that format at the Australian Kotai against Stovey, who was the top line player, where we had 5 turns spending all our fate buying from our dynasty. Fate didn't leave, and it was one fight at the end where you played your whole hand. And that was quite fun. It was chaotic because some crazy things happened. Like it turns out Matsu's 7th Legion automatically stopped any of his courtiers participating.
It's awesome.
And a lot of it was kind of flying by the seat of our pants trying to figure out how rules interactions would work, but it was good fun.
I like it. Yeah. I
So,
like extra stuff.
So one of the things that you just said was like, you can play online. Mark, you said like a couple of minutes ago that you've never had a bad experience playing L5R in person. I don't. I want to set my PC up for like Jigoku development. I really want to get into that because I kind of was a little bit. I kind of really want to get the cards into Jigoku as early as possible, so I want to help. But I feel like maybe some of the badness that we find online is because of the online play, right? I wonder if the online play actually is conducive to having fun because it's just
It's not.
Maybe I'm naive, but I kind of think that the people behind the computer are probably great to play against in real life, but not necessarily when they're anonymous.
exactly, and the anonymity kind of takes something away from the whole experience of playing L5R. Way better
it
in
does
person.
if you play on Jigoku, but you're in a live voice channel with the person you're playing against. It is a way better experience.
Yeah, I
When
completely
you're
agree.
talking, because when you're across the table with someone, you're chatting at the same time, and
Yeah.
you're having conversation, a bit of a laugh, and like if they're playing slow, you know that they're sitting there agonizing over their cards, and you can enjoy that they're in pain. Whereas on the internet, right, if they're just not doing anything, you're just like, fuck this guy, he's run off to make a coffee or something without telling me. What a tool.
I've always
Yeah.
enjoyed
It's different.
imagining how much pain my opponent is in when I play on Jigoku.
Yeah, I mean, I get less angry than I think most people when people just quit on me, because that's like a victory plus. I think like if you can make someone rage quit on Jigoku, it's like you've super won.
But when you're playing those horrible crane decks, where you sort of play waning hostilities in the first turn and then put 5 fate on Kaizen and 10 attachments in the second turn, and then they quit, that feels kind of good. I have to admit.
I'm so mad that Kaizen sees so much play now. It's just so
yeah.
dumb.
Kaizen's a really weird superhero for the Crane Clan, and I have no idea why.
He's not the superhero
It's the
they
goatee.
needed, but he's the one they deserve.
the superhero they deserve. Because honestly, other than the fact that he starts a duel and they have a stronghold which synergizes with that, his ability and his card, they're just kind of meh, aren't they?
So you're
They're
thinking
just a
about it
little
the
bit
wrong
shit.
way. It's not about what the duel does. It's just about the duel happening.
No, that's what I said, right? The fact that he
yeah.
initiates one, it's got nothing to do with anything other than initiating a duel.
That's it. His
And
duel
it's
could
stronghold that
absolutely
synergizes
just
with that.
read. His duel could absolutely just read, initiate a duel, both players automatically bid one, nothing happens, and that would still get just as much play, probably
that's right.
more
Yeah.
than he does already.
Yeah.
No
Initiate a duel. The winner of the duel, to the player that lost the duel, nothing happened.
That's it. Nothing happened. No resolution.
Would that even be illegal? That wouldn't even be a legal like card effect because doesn't the effect of a card have to change the game state in some way?
It does, because his ability has now been activated. I guess
Yeah.
you can't use it again. It's been triggered.
I'm triggered. That's what's happening.
That's triggered. We're all triggered.
So GenCon was good. Last one about GenCon, I'm going to shout out a game from I can't remember the name of the publisher. I think it's called Little Wizards or something, and it's called Sorcerer. I played it at the end of the con. Somebody had bought it, and we had like a 5-player game. It was the kind of game where you build a deck of cards. Actually, somebody was talking about it on Roller's Discord. Yeah. Anyway, you build a deck and you sort of attack to the left and the right. So you don't sort of get stomped on by all 5 players when you're about to win. You have to defend just to the players on your left and your right.
Yep.
And it's kind of cool. It's got good quality components and it's got really ace artwork and stuff like that. I had really good fun playing it.
No, I like it. I love, again, playing new games and stuff. There's always lots of good out there. It feels like there's a lot more real quality games out there than there used to be. Like there's just a massive influx. You sort of drown them out these days, actually. The good
Sorcerer.
Too much. Sorcerer.
Go buy it.
Noted. I'll order it right now. Give me 5.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're back.
And we're back. No, okay. So we 3 times now have tried to move on to roles.
Have we?
Talk about this because I think was it this morning or yesterday that the roles were announced?
This morning for me, so I guess it would have been sort of yesterday afternoon in the States.
Yeah, for them because they're behind.
Yeah, I woke up to it this morning. People in group chat talking about it at 5:30 in the morning. I don't know why that happened.
So,
Mhm.
I guess so. The TLDR is every single clan has chosen either Earth or Air. Correct.
Correct.
Every
Yep.
single one. So there are only two roles of the new array, and a lot of them have now doubled up on double seeker or double keeper. Correct. Mostly double seekers.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of clans have a double
I
seeker
think
or a double keeper. Yeah.
Scorpion has double keeper, right?
I actually have to look it up.
Oh yeah, I think they do. We're double keeper.
Yeah.
No.
Keeper of Air and Keeper of Earth.
Yeah, which is a bit heartbreaking.
I don't really understand that one because they're getting a good keeper province, a good Earth province in one of the new packs. I can't remember which one.
Yeah,
Sorry, who are you talking about? Scorp.
Scorpion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Scorpion.
they get
Oh yeah,
they get the province with the built-in cancel, which is Earth.
yeah.
Yeah, which
that's
seems
right.
really
Not
good,
awful.
and it's got
I
great
have it
art
in.
too.
I have it in my hand. Licensed quarter, +2
Yeah.
after you win a. Oh no, never mind. That's a holding. Merlin learned the difference.
Yeah.
Effective deception. When the effects of a triggered ability would initiate during a conflict with this province, cancel those effects.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, so that's the thing.
No,
But I
it's
mean,
actually
I
not,
guess
is
at
it?
a
Oh, it's
keeper of
Earth.
Earth, you can run that instead of upholding authority if you are one of the people that hate the fact that it goes to 5 strength.
It's not roll locked. You
No,
can still
but
just play it.
yeah, but like if you're not running Seeker of Earth, you can only run one Earth, right?
Yeah, that is a bit shit having only one really awesome Earth province on your row.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, these days you could run that one. Running, you could run that and the Vassal Fields. I think Vassal Fields is valid, just not in every matchup.
Look, there's nothing wrong with Vassal Fields. There's just nothing particularly good about it either.
Oh no, look,
Well,
taking one fate, like if you, I think Vassal
Golden
Fields
Seeker's good.
Yes. Yeah, I think like if you're playing a defensive deck, for example, so most of your Scorpion Dishonor archetypes or any deck that's trying not to go conquest, and admittedly there's very few of them because it's not really an encouraged archetype at the moment until very recently. Any deck with any province with a repeatable action is instantly substantially better once you're not attacking and you care more about your own stuff being broken. You know what I mean? If you're trying to defend a lot, so turn by turn, your opponent's going to be ramming into these things and you can trigger it every turn, then it starts to add up.
Yeah, so with effective deception, that's an interrupt to a triggered ability. So that would be able to be triggered on multiple turns, provided it
Yes.
doesn't break, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
Which makes
it is an
very, very
absolute
good.
ace province.
Mm.
That's two really good Scorpion provinces. The Secret Cache is also really good.
Yeah.
Should we just go through really quick what each clan has,
Okay.
and then we can talk? So Crab, I can't. Yeah, okay. So Crab have Seeker of Void and Keeper of Air.
Should we
Hooray.
speculate on the new ones and
Okay.
shoot the hip and talk shit about these roles as we go?
Okay. As long as we don't drag on a bit.
I'm reading what Fantasy Flight Games have written.
Mm.
What they've written for Crab, I don't play a lot of Crab, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Apparently, they wanted Keeper of Air so they could play Guardian of Virtue, which to me just looks like complete binder fodder.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't seem good. What could you do with Keeper of Air?
Nothing.
Play
Play something better and leave it in your binder. That's what you can do.
Crab could pull off a pretty substantial Dishonor deck, to be honest. They could splash Backhanded and Mark of Shame, and they already have Watch Commanders in-house.
They get their Berserker back. Their Berserker's
I think the Keeper of Air deck is potentially good, but Guardian of Virtue does not go in it at all.
Can I let me throw something down for you? So you're trying to break into Crab, right? You're trying to beat them via conquest. They have a Guardian of Virtue in play with a reprieve on it, so it's not going to get assassinated. Key part. It also has a Watch Commander, and it doesn't bow for every single conflict you attack.
But you've got to keep composure. You're not going to have composure because everyone's going to be bidding one.
Of course you can.
Where's that line card gone?
Yeah,
Um,
no, but
you can.
there are numbers
can-
between 1 and 5. That's the trick, right? You don't have to pick one of those two. There is a
Bollocks!
whole,
My dial
I
only has
don't
two numbers
believe
on
it.
it.
there's a whole array of numbers in there that you choose from. What you should do, go play against any day show deck. You'll learn all about those numbers. you'll be a full bottle on them by the time you. No, but you can't and that's not bad, right? I've played dragon decks recently where I include a bunch of watch commanders because I fish for them with Shunson. And so most games I have 3 watch commanders on the table. And they're really good when they're all over the place.
You know, they're
Wait, you're spending 9 influence to have 3 watch commanders in a dragon deck?
Absolutely. They're fucking
Okay, sure.
amazing. It's worth it. Absolutely worth it. Because they're guaranteed. You get 3 of them every game.
It's not as weird as what you normally play. I'll say that about it.
Look, yeah, you wish. You don't operate on my level. That's what it is.
All right, let's bring things back to reality a little bit. So you're right on the backhanded compliment thing, and we might be forgetting, or we should remember that Mark of Shame is air roll locked, right? So they can just smack down a Mark of Shame on people. And I'm looking at the Imperial Advisor roll locked cards page, as we always do, and there's actually a unicorn card. When you would resolve a ring effect, choose a character with printed cost 2 or lower in your provinces. Instead of resolving the ring effect, put the character in play. There is a little bit of synergy there because Crab kind of do resolve ring effects every so often on the defense, which they're really good at. Not saying it's good, just saying there's a synergy there.
Yeah, there's bits I can do. I mean, also, like, any keeper with Crab is... What's the Berserker? The 3-1 brings himself back in.
Yeah. Crisis Berserker. Crisis Breaker.
Which one, sorry?
Yeah. Crisis Breaker.
Yeah.
So
Crisis...
3 for 3-1 if you have less.
Crisis Breaker and Talisman are always going to be a massive draw for keeper.
And defend your honor in Crab.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you happen to know what Abitan's playing? I know he's playing Keeper of Air Crab.
No. And also, yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, Keeper's just good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. And Keeper of Air, I mean, Air's probably garbage as far as the fate goes, but Air's got probably some of the best cards. There's also 4 Bears Echoes, obviously, recently for the new one.
Do you play that
Well,
in Crab?
actually, well, hang on. Yes, is my thinking. So you've already got Gateway to Meta, right? So you can already bring back guys from the dead. I wonder if you can sort of dump that into Overdrive. 4 Bears Echoes will let you bring back a guy when you're not at Meta in order to get that engine going. Maybe.
4 Bears Echoes, does Iron Might and Reprieve stop them going away after 4 Bears?
Yes, but it would stop them leaving at the end of the conflict where they go to the bottom of the deck, right? So to keep them around to the next turn, you'd have to use 2 of them, and that's getting a little silly.
That's expensive. Well, is it a little silly if you've only paid 1?
I think it's a little silly to not play Talisman, but if you're going there, you may as well.
How is that card not restricted yet? I don't understand. So many other things have been hit, and that card
because
defines games.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit venomous, because it's been around long enough for people to learn how to deal with it and not feel butthurt every time they hit it. Same with Display of Power.
Yeah,
I still feel pretty hurt when someone Display of Powers me.
Do you though?
Yeah, especially, but the bad thing about Display of Power is you always know that it's going to happen.
Then stop attacking with fucking powerful.
Yeah, that's right. Stop attacking with the optimal ring.
No,
just
you don't.
And
then you get the situation where you're looking, going, "What's the worst ring I can choose to attack on here?" And that feels pretty bad too.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
I
lost a game in the Australian Kote to choosing the wrong ring. Like, I swear it was one ring selection which lost me the game. And I went on tilt and I fucking dropped out of the tournament after that. Ring selection's important, guys, right? Yeah, if I wasn't such a stable individual, who knows what I might have done?
Yeah. No, look, Display Power is good, but it is expensive as well. Like, it ultimately has to cost you 2 fate and an honor and a card. Like, that's not trivial.
Display a power. No, I'm actually in your camp. I believe. I think it's a reasonable cost.
I'm just salty about it being played against me so many times, but it's
Yeah, I guess.
not necessarily broken.
I guess break more provinces. Like if your opponent's just not defending, break his stuff. Take the 2 points and then just stall until the game ends.
I used to not like hitting upholding authority, but I think I'm fine with hitting upholding authority nowadays.
Yeah, now I consider it depends. If I've got like some critical shit in my hand, sometimes it makes me cry. But
yeah, but sometimes you look at your hand and you go, "This is all good. Maybe he can have one of my good things."
Here you go. You can look at my hand and get tilted for the rest of the
There
game.
is that
Enjoy.
satisfying moment of handing your cards over and just laughing because there's so many things that he needs to discard and he can't discard all of them.
Do you guys ever bait your opponents with your hand? Like if you have 2 fine katanas in your hand and one of all these you'll leave the 2 fine katanas in on purpose so that hopefully they pick the 2 shit cards instead of all these really good ones.
That's a little bit too cerebral for me. I'm a more visceral player, I think.
People love the feeling of getting rid of 2 cards.
No, they will almost always discard the restricted card. Just discarding all other reason, they'll go for the restricted card, and you can bait them that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so Crane, Seeker of Void, Keeper of Air. Keeper of Air is the new one.
That is a perfect choice. Like Keeper of Air is amazing.
You guys need to tell everyone what you were talking about in the chat about Keeper of Air Crane.
Pretty soon, everyone's going to be complaining about it on the forums, very similar to the
Crane
to the Echoes, but
Crane
that's
being
what's going to happen.
A pain in the ass tier 0 is overdue. Like I don't understand how they haven't been the problem clan yet. They've just got.
I'm a member of the Crane Facebook group, and I understand because they talk some nonsense.
Hey, Crane won the very first tournament ever.
Oh,
just saying.
You mean they won when no one knew what they were?
Yeah, like back in like Mesopotamian times when they were still discovering what tournaments were, the Crane won that. Also, they won the Kikumatsuri.
I'm going to take more issue with what FFG have written underneath the clan choice.
Okay. Tell us FFG and all their wisdom, because
Air is
I don't trust anything they say since they told me that Lion's card was Scorpion Forged Edict. They lost all credibility at that point.
That was a kick in the teeth. So it says here, Air is a very potent role for the Crane clan, as it cares a great deal about honouring its own characters with Soul Beyond Reproach. I'm going to say that you never run Soul Beyond Reproach in that deck. You don't need it.
All of your people have already been honoured in triplicate anyway.
Why?
It doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't fit in the deck, right?
Well, no, look.
What if you're playing against an opposing Crane player who's just marking the shame out of all of your dudes? What do you do then? You've got to play a 2-for-1 cost against his mark of shames.
Yeah,
card-wise.
Recurring mark of shame is super amazing.
Yeah,
first of all.
I think that's probably more of the reason for the roll.
Yeah.
No, there are so many reasons for Crane. Like Soul Beyond Reproach, even though it's not super great with Crane at the moment, just because it's got so many other honor effects, that doesn't mean Soul Beyond Reproach isn't good. It means that Crane are fucked, right?
No, Soul Beyond Reproach is a great card. I mean, I run 3 of in my line deck. It's just not. I don't see why you'd put it in a Crane deck. You just don't need it.
Well, with the new one. So basically, the tools, Keeper of Air gives Crane access to all their good tools, is the short of it. So they get Soul Beyond Reproach. They can use Defend Your Honor to synergize with a cancel with their dueling deck and the dueling box. They get the recurring Shameful Display. Not Shameful Display, that would be awful. The recurring Mark of Shame with their Tea House holding, which is super oppressive, I'm going to guess, eventually.
Yeah, I think that's the secret sauce right there. I can see Crane players sprinkling Dishonored tokens across the board like Salt Bay, you know?
Yeah, just chucking them everywhere. But it also means they can do that with backhanded compliment as well. And Crane have also, there's a little bit of mill deck potential in Crane. They've got a lot of everybody draws a card, which I think could happen eventually. That long game Dishonor you can do that's only Scorpion are really capable of at the moment. That's not really, it's not a real deck yet, but it could be. But certainly Backhand and Complement is the key card that enables Dishonor decks if you want that as an option. And
Can
Keeper of
Crane
Air,
do a Dishonor deck?
they
Really?
can now because they got Keeper of Air. And they can use Mark of Shame and they can use Backhand and Complement. And they've got Asani, I think, is the one that steals honor.
Yeah, Kikita
Yeah.
Asami.
Yeah, so she
I feel
steals
like
honor.
Crane need to be bidding 5 most of the time.
Yeah, if only
Nah,
Test of
man,
Skill wasn't
Crane
secret
have
alone.
got- Dude, Crane have got so much in-house card draw. Like,
Well,
so much.
Do they? Like,
Oh.
Test of Skill's the only one I can think of offhand.
Yeah, and you
Nah,
don't.
no.
you don't
So
run
they've got.
that.
It's not all raw card draw, right? First of all, they've got that Courtier where both players draw a card. They've got Pillow Book where you just look at the top card and you play that. They've got the Artisan Academy, flip the top card and play that. They've got Winter Court Host where every time your opponent plays a card, you draw a card.
These are all cards that are only ever played by Butters. That's
What? Fuck off.
No.
These things are
Actually,
amazing.
At least
You are
half
trash.
of those have merit. Okay, at least half of those have merit.
They're
What
all
what
golden
you just said
cards.
though? What you just said though was Winter Court Hosts. Does Winter
That's the
Court
best
Host
card in the list.
synergize at all with Forbearer's Echoes? Forbearer's Echoes, yeah.
Could do.
No, because Forebearer's
No?
Echo is military only.
Sorry,
Winter Court Host doesn't give a
hang
fuck.
on. Where's Winter Court Host?
Winter Court
It's
Host,
what 2/6 or something.
It's a
Yeah.
3/7, I'm pretty sure, and 3 personal honor, 3 glory rather, personal honor from the old game. So I'm pretty sure it's 3/7. Someone correct me.
All right, so I foolishly went. Oh yeah, it's 2/7.
Oh, it's 3/7.
No attachments. After your opponent plays a card during a conflict in which this character is participating, and if you are more honourable than that opponent, draw a card.
Unlimited is the key part there, Merlin. That's important.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can't see a situation where you'd be using echoes to get that into a military conflict.
It's got 3 glory, so you could Echoes and then Soul Beyond Reproach. Bam.
Well,
That's 3 faith.
Nah, just Way of the Crane or any single one of the Crane ways to operate. You don't even need to specify. There's just billions. And it works. It works fine. I don't see why that's an issue. I think
All right,
that's
so
a strong
Dragon.
card. It is strong. I mean, and that's 10 political. I mean, you don't need it.
So are we calling Crane playing an Echoes deck now? Is this what we're saying?
Mate,
No,
I'm good.
I don't see that happen.
I wonder what is
No,
what
not at all.
Lion got. Lion has Seeker of Air. They're already playing Echoes. They're fine. So Dragon, Keeper of Water, and Seeker of Air. Seeker of Air is the new one.
I think Seeker of Air is a great role,
Dragon.
regardless of cards.
Yeah. But
So it gives you a bit of an economy boost.
Yeah.
Well, Seeker of Air has just got really easy province, right? Like it's a really easy choices. They're not game breaking, but Manicured Garden and Fertile Field is just a nice little duo for your row.
Did you guys see the meme that went? I think it was on the L5R Facebook group when somebody posted the link to the new article. In the title of the article, they had a picture of Solidarity Strength, which is the Crane air roll only card, and in the background they had taken the background out of like the windows and they put in the image for Fight On because that's the card they lost access to.
Yeah, and Solitary Strength is not, because that's a winner conflict as a lone attacker and gain 1 honor, right?
Yeah, but it's also I think +1/+2 for 1, which is not awful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's also an attachment.
It's okay,
Which
but you're not going to
synergizes
pick
with
a role
what's-
for it.
No, but when like Dragon have the makings of a bit of an honor deck. When you can put that in to gain 1 every turn, you run a day show, so you get all the dueling honor stuff going on. And Dragon have actually got a non-trivial amount of honorary cards amongst their tools that they could use as well. Like what do you call it? The 4-coster Shugenja.
Yeah, the fire
Alchemist.
the one juggling fire on the card.
Yeah, and they've got a bunch of little monks that just randomly gain honor or honor themselves.
You know, there's a lot of interesting cards here that Dragon have not yet played. So Soul Beyond Reproach, Forbearance's Echoes, and Consumed by 5 Fires. just kind of jump out at me.
Yeah.
I
And
think
Mark
that's
of
a
Shame,
merit
I guess.
for SBR
Yeah,
in Dragon. I think that's not terrible. They've got some high
Yeah.
glory guys.
yeah.
I
That's
think
true.
error rolls. Soul Beyond Reproach.
Test of skill. Oh, I guess they run a lot of attachments.
Yeah, they can normally grab stuff out without needing test of skill.
Yeah, Dragon.
Well,
Ball
actually,
for
test
them.
of skill. Hang on. Test of skill. You name a card type, so you could try and draw out, depending on what you need, attachments or events.
With test of skill, do you discard the ones you don't draw, or do they get shuffled back?
Don't know. Can't remember.
Discard the rest. Discard.
Don't care enough to look it up. So there's that.
Oh, come on! This is perfect. You could totally play this deck.
You know what would really synergize it? Do you want to guess what card that would be great that helps you tutor the top of your deck so that you know what you're
Oh
gonna do?
god.
Yeah, Compass. Best card in the game. It's the fucking.
Well, you should have mentioned that when we were talking about Crane.
What? No,
Like
Compass
Crane with Pillow Book. I think somebody mentioned in the chat.
and
That sounds like
Artisan
a great
Academy. It's the fucking.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's so good. Pick 3 cards, pick the one you want, and then blow up your storehouse or use your Pillow Book.
So I never ran Compass out of Crane eventually. I tested it, out of Phoenix. I tested it out for a bit, but there's not enough sort of on-click card draw. So any clan that's got like a dude that just says click this card and you get a card, Compass is really good in.
Yeah, no, it is, and it works really well. Particularly, I've ran a version of Crane that is I copped a bit of heat for over here, admittedly, from some players. Mark. But it's mostly really, really cheap stuff in your conflict, and use your Pillow Book and your Artisan Academy to pick stuff and attach it all day. But I also use Compass a lot on the conflict side because I had a lot of holdings. I had like 16 holdings in there, but Compass just helped me sort of tick over every turn and make sure I was getting at least one person I wanted. Made a really big difference.
So my experience against that deck was not when I played it against you, but when you gave the deck to Andrew Eaton to play against me. And I wasn't so annoyed at it as Andrew was. I'm pretty sure he wanted to throw your deck across the room he was trying to pilot it.
He was playing the beta, and it has been refined since then. And that was made 10 minutes prior to a competitive event because no one was playing Crane, and I wanted to make 7 clans. So I put it together real quick. That's how I do.
Can I tell you guys about a game I played just last night?
Yes.
I got a Scorpion deck off one of the other players here, and I wasn't really sure what the deck did exactly, and it wasn't until like turn 4 that I kind of figured it out. But one of the things that I was doing, it was a Scorpion deck, is I would play the Actress, and I'm playing against a Dragon opponent who was running that guy who you put the ring back into the middle, and then you can go through your deck to get an attachment and then attach it to somebody.
Agasha Shunson.
That's it. So I would attack with the Actress, and then she would win the conflict and get the ring, and then my opponent would attack in, and then I would sacrifice the Actress to go and get Shunson to put him into the conflict, to put my ring back to go and get an attachment, which just so happened to be, what's the Crane one? That's 1 and +2 political, where you get to discard 2 cards from your opponent's hand if you win the conflict.
Letter from the Daimyo.
Crane card,
that one. Yeah. And then you would do that, and I would also have on the table, or I also just happen to have on the table that character that said, if your opponent has to discard cards from their hand, you get to draw a card. I think it is the Scorpion character.
Yes, that is the new one. That's a 3 military, 2 political.
Yeah.
Hyobu, Shasura
Yeah.
Hyobu.
I feel like I had accidentally stumbled onto like this weird alternate reality where this combo could come off, but it would never come off anywhere else.
Yep. But that's the sort of stuff that Shasura Actress enables. Like I was playing Scorpion once, ran Shasura Actress, and I used Way of the Crab on my opponent because she stole one of their crabs, and then
you could like plagiarist
copied Way of the Crab. By Way of the Crab.
Oh, sick. That is so sick.
Illustrious praise. That card does some horrible things.
Yeah. That does.
It could plagiarize Forebearer's Echoes. Oh! All right, anyway.
Yeah.
Lion Clan?
So this is the only time that Fantasy Flight Games have gotten the write-up right. They've mentioned 2 cards: Forebearer's
Oh,
Echoes
God.
and Earth Becomes Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think those 2 cards are responsible for this entire array of roles, to be honest, for the most part, or at least
Look,
a very large portion
I'm
of.
I'm not going to complain about anything that gives us good content. So,
Yeah.
hooray to those cards.
Can I throw out on the?
Go on.
No, we'll talk about Scorpion when we get.
Okay. All right. So, Seeker of Air. So, one of the things that I actually thought I was going to see a lot of going into Gen Con was Keeper of Earth, which was the prior role, I think. I thought I was
Yeah.
going to see HMT, Keeper of Earth, EBS nonsense at Gen Con, and I didn't. Most of the line that I saw running Seeker of Air out of Yojin no Shiro, running things to try and keep their military political balance right, which I thought was a bit weird.
Look, as a line player who plays that particular deck, I think that's the correct approach.
Clearly, I mean, they do very
although
well with
I'm
it.
not the top line player in Perth, let alone Australia, and the other top players do seem to play the Earth deck with the Phoenix Splash.
I think, yeah. I think the air roll is the safer roll. I think it's easier to put together and it's less high roll. But the high roll is how Lion.
Yeah, see, I dislike the high roll style of play, and I like the balance you get from Seeker of Air, and I really like Soul Beyond Reproach.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
There's
Yeah.
very few better
Go on.
feelings than baiting a Dishonor on a high glory guy and then just playing Soul Beyond Reproach, and that's a huge swing.
Yeah, it is good.
When I got back to Hong Kong, they were running an Elemental Championship, and at that event, I actually ran HMT? No, Yojin no Shiro. I think I ran Yojin no Shiro, Keeper of Earth, to run Earth Becomes Sky. And this was my first time ever playing Earth Becomes Sky. It felt good. It felt really good. In line in particular, I don't know. It's my first time playing it, but it was nice. I can't wait to try Earth Becomes Sky at a line.
Oh, it seems like a card that's going to be good in anything, right?
I think Seeker of Earth, right, lets you play. Is Art of War Earth or water?
That's a water province.
Bummer. Never mind then.
So you probably have to go Public Forum and Vassal Fields, unless you want to go a 5 strength Upholding Authority, which I don't.
What's the new Lion one that dishonors people when you guard cards?
That's a fire province.
Oh, is that fire? Is that sorry? I thought that was
That province is awesome.
It is.
That is an awesome. Like, some other clans would pay top dollar for that province.
Can you imagine the rage if you had that in Scorpion alongside like Straight?
Yeah.
That would be unpleasant.
That would not be nice at all. But yeah, no, it's very, very good, no question.
I think
anything else you want to say about
also worth mentioning, the top line player at the Australian Cote was running Keeper of Earth, but wasn't running Earth Becomes Sky, and was adamant that there was no synergy and that you could do better.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember him saying that, but I'm not sure that I would agree just yet. I had a lot of fun running Earth Becomes Sky. It could be because it's new. It could be because of the meta that I'm playing in or was playing in. But like people not being able to stand the crab characters, and they have to use things like what was it? Fight on in order to get their characters back into conflicts is awesome.
I think speculating, but a part of Earth Becomes Sky not being in his deck might have been because of the Echoes deck, because it's not that good against the Echoes deck, is it? Doesn't stop it.
No, definitely not. No. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that deck doesn't care about. It doesn't care about attachments because the guys just go away and you bring them back without attachments. So if they put any negative attachments and stuff, doesn't care about dishonor. Same reason. Doesn't care about what were we just talking about? Bow effects and things like that. Same reasons.
But it's very strong.
Yep. So Phoenix, Seeker of Earth.
Yeah, that's all.
Huh.
Sky. That's 100% Earth becomes Sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. But here's the thing, right?
It
So
looks
I
like
voted.
Seeker.
I wish it was Keeper personally. I took to GenCon. I took a Keeper of Earth Phoenix deck for the unlocked roles events, which I didn't end up playing. I sort of went and did other things that day, but I think Keeper of Earth would have been really nice here. But
Why?
Keepers are
Yeah.
really good.
Keeper initiates? Yeah, I guess.
You've
Yeah.
also got 2 Seeker rolls, which just feels bad, right?
Yeah, and I think if you're
It
running,
does.
so you could do if you're doing. So the way I did it was I would run the Keeper initiates, and then I ran the Dragon package with the let goes and things like that. But I also was able to fit in Hurricane punches, which I could use on my Keeper initiates and my Shrine Maidens and things like that. So I felt like that, like it just kind of amped up the card draw and the pumping and things like that.
So the explanation I saw for Seeker was so that you could still run Consumed by 5 Fires, because that's a Seeker only card, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
And I think that's valid, right? I think the Seeker of Earth deck that's actually going to manifest here is basically the Seeker of Void deck. The only difference is you're going to have a marginally worse Province row, and you're going to have access to Earth Becomes Sky. And I think the restricted card is still going to be Embrace the Void, at least
Yeah.
in the early days.
I mean,
What do they even?
the province row
have?
doesn't matter with Phoenix, though, does it? Because I know they just let all their provinces break until they get to Kurimori.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're Earth roll, Seeker of Earth, one of the reasons why you want them to break is, that's definitely a tactic against line. So you might be feeling that. It's not necessarily a tactic against Crane or other clans. Dragon maybe. The what is it? Upholding Authority becomes 5, and one of the really good things about Upholding Authority is when it gets broken. Arguably, its only good thing.
Yeah, and that's a really
Yeah.
common sentiment. I don't agree personally. It's just my playstyle. I like it when my opponent doesn't get to break my. Maybe it's just.
Well, you
quirky, but-
can also get Kanjo District onto Upholding Authority, and that's obnoxious and horrible, and it's going to
Is it
make your opponent
obnoxious?
feel really bad. Well,
Hmm.
that's in the aforementioned game where I copped a bit of abuse. I Maya Satoshi onto Kanjo District onto Upholding Authority, and he was not too happy, and I can understand why.
It definitely makes the province one where you don't necessarily have to defend all the yeah, you don't necessarily have to defend, because if it does break, like your opponent has to make an investment to break it, and then you could play like a display of power or something like that to kind of twist the victory a little bit.
Yeah, that makes
But-
a big difference.
I wonder if you did a display of power on a Ring of Earth against a province where you had just broken, where they had just broken Upholding Authority. That
So
could be
there's
kind
a-
of interesting. You kind of
There's a
thin the
reasonable
hand out.
chance you're
Yeah.
going to discard 3 cards. That's
Yeah, that's right. I mean, but not only that, you discard one card that is supremely good, and then you've kind of got a better chance of hitting another card, which is good because the number of cards in the hand has been reduced, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not wrong.
display of power and Upholding Authority has never felt good.
Hmm. You know what? I think I'm going to run up. I don't know. I'm going to. Tomorrow. I've got like this extendable table at my apartment. I'm going to extend it out to its full, 6-seater size, and I'm going to lay out all my cards, and we're going to go through some serious deck building tomorrow.
Yeah, I am. All hate aside, I'm super psyched and amped about new roles. Every time it happens, I'm really keen.
Yeah,
to do new
yeah.
decks.
Every time I feel very reinvigorated about the game.
Yeah.
Like I'm considering Cordia decks, and I'm considering different splashes, non-dragon splashes for competitive play, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
me too.
None of it is actually going to come to fruition, but I'm
Mm.
going to do it anyway.
You play it anyway, right? Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's the way though. Like now and then you'll land on a gem, and you. Can
Oh, look,
carry
I
it
made
over.
2 decks on Bushi Builder at work today. That's, it's what you do, right?
Shaping young minds hard at work.
Did you have the class actually participate in that exercise? That's meta. That's meta right there. Crowdsourcing the next great deck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Consider it.
All right, so Scorpion, Keeper of Air and Keeper of Earth.
Yeah, so Keeper of Earth is a new one. I'm a little bit disappointed because we've already had Keeper of Earth and it's now, but at the same time, it's a good choice.
It's
I
pretty
hate
good.
having two keepers, and not having Seeker of S, but that was always going to happen. I would have preferred Seeker of Earth personally.
Yes, I agree.
Like Seeker of Earth, because well, we've already mentioned the new Earth Scorpion province popping up soon, which is super good. But also Scorpion have got Discouraged Pursuit, which is really good with KB and Shinobi. And there's probably enough Shinobi to reliably run that now because it's a very, very strong card. But Earth Becomes Sky is the reason that was chosen, the Earth roll at all. I'm personally really keen for a deck that I'm going to try out, which is like 3 Earth Becomes Sky, 3 Kiriko, 3 False Loyalties.
Oh my god.
And just bows for days, right? That's what I want to see happen. See how I can see how little fun. And then you have stuff like
You've got a fair bit of kill in that deck as well, don't you, with Discouraged Pursuit?
Is that a kill card?
It is when comboed with others, though.
Yeah, you combo it with well, to a degree, you can combo it with Bayushi,
Amaro.
Yeah, Aramoro, but he has to dishonor himself, so you've got to dishonor someone else.
Well, that just means he can unbow and go back in again, doesn't it? It's fine.
It is, but he's
make your restricted card the rumor monger.
I have been playing again with him actually lately, and it's
good, right?
He is very good. Yeah. Like, I miss Forged Edict, but so the deck I've been dabbling with the Scorpion is the aforementioned cards, so the Earth Becomes Sky and stuff. But I tried, instead of a deck where it's all about dishonoring myself or my opponent, I instead played around with some dishonor effects, but quite a lot of honor effects as well if I had them. So it's basically just controlling across the table who gets honored and dishonored. So there's the Young Rumor Monger, also Dairu, and also the Shameless Gossip, right? And all those cards just manipulate those effects all over the table, and it ends up really, really potent. Because I'm running a bunch of high glory guys, Scorpion, that you don't normally see, and they're all +2/+2 because they're all honored all the time. It's quite good, as it turns out, being able to honor everybody. And it's so weird, but the problem I have with that deck though is that neither of my strongholds are any good. All my goods are honored, so Kaiden Baishi is no good, and I'm almost always on higher honor than my opponent. So City of
almost always. I feel like City of the Open Hand is a very it's a very good stronghold. I feel very comfortable there, right? Because you can always click it for 1 honor if things are getting a bit weird.
Yeah,
they're getting a bit tight. Yeah,
it's a good worst case scenario. It's a safety net. Like if you just get too low, it just keeps you in the game, which is super handy, particularly a Scorpion, because you're always at high risk of. But yeah, look, Scorpion get some neat tools, I think, out of Keeper of Earth. I just would like something different, is all.
I think the Keeper of Earth deck is going to be one to watch out for. Very control-y.
It was good before, and it'll be good again.
I think it sounds like a fun deck, more importantly.
The way I'm going to control... Go on.
I just think it'd be a fun deck to play. The Keeper of Earth. So what going on?
No, for sure. I think a Phoenix Shinobi where you run 3 Earth Becomes Sky, you run maybe 3 Display of Power.
So
let your stuff break.
I guess for the listeners, remember one of the ways every clan is going to eventually get a disguised character. One of the things that can kind of combat all of this bowedness is potentially a disguised character. You can overlay your non-uniques and ready them.
Actually, every clan already has a disguised character because they all get Shosuro Miyako.
Touche.
Everyone except Scorpion,
Touche.
because you can play it on a Scorpion character.
Unlike so many Scorpion cards. Scorpion are the ultimate loyalists, right? Even when they're in a pitched battle against themselves, they won't play cards on each other.
Well, but disguise is a good thing, but you can't use it against Scorpions, and you can only bring it into play from disguise, right? So you have to play weird neutral shit just to fucking make it work.
They're trying to push Scorpion towards that Imperial deck, which seems... I'm struggling to see how that's going to work, but I don't know. Someone will prove me wrong, I'm sure.
I think it's going to work because all the Imperial Scorpion cards they're printing are fucking busted. Like, they're really strong. Really strong.
Just Miyako.
That's a super cool card as well. Just like the art and the theme. Really love that card.
It's the second.
Wait, what?
Miyako is what we're after.
The conflict one?
Yeah, that's the new one.
All right. Can only be played by the disguise. Keyword non-Scorpion character.
Yeah.
After you play this character, choose a non-unique character and opponent controls this one other character. I wonder if you can play disguised on your opponent's characters. You definitely can't, right? No, yeah, that would be silly. I don't know what I was thinking.
What's her influence cost? 2?
It is 2.
Yeah, okay. So perfectly splashable, and it's good. She's a 3 for 3/2 on her, I think, and yeah. Now being able to play her just straight and get an extra straighten out of a lot of decks is going to be super strong.
What's her keywords? Shinobi and
Bushi.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. No, she is. She's good. She's good. Just be great if the Shinobi decks could run her. That's all.
All right, let's wrap it up with Unicorn. So they are Keeper of Water and Keeper of Earth. And to be honest with you, I think this is actually a really hard choice for this clan as to what deck they want to play, because I think both of them are really good.
Oh, Fight On is so good for you.
Fight On is great.
Like, is it just Earth becomes Sky? Is that all they're getting out of?
No, there's a new card, right?
It is not.
What are they getting? What's relevant?
Go on, Mark.
I can't remember the name of it or what it does. So.
All right, so it's Unfulfilled Duty. It's Earthreal only, obviously. 2 cost. Action. Choose any number of characters with no fate that have a total printed cost of 6 or lower, vis-a-vis everyone you brought back with Cav reserves. Ready each of those characters.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's very good.
That is. It's going to feel so bad when someone Cav reserves you.
Yeah.
And then drops that on top as well. Like,
one of the things that I didn't mention earlier when we were talking about the Fushicho deck, right, is that it doesn't have an overabundance of money. It might look like that, right? It might look like it has 7 or 8 fate at the start of the turn, but it burns through that a lot. I think Unicorn do the same thing. Like, when Unicorn are poised to use their Cav reserves or this card or some of their really high-powered effects, they just bank. They just bank money.
Yeah, I mean, to do that properly, you've got to be sitting on 5 or 6 fate going into a turn.
Yep. There's a Unicorn character that I saw yesterday, which I didn't even know existed until yesterday, which lets you swap the ring that's being attacked. I think it is.
Yeah, that's their disguise person. Super good.
Yeah, right. And what does it say about who gets the fate off that ring?
No, you do. So, no, the attacker.
The attacker, right? So you attack on one ring with fates, and then you do this guy, and then they collect all the fate off that other ring.
Yeah, no, that's
sick.
I think it's Shinjo Kaiora or Shiotomi, one of those. But anyway, it's a super, super potent card. Like, it's a cavalry bushi, so it fits all the other stuff. It's a straighten for a 4-coster, so if you're running like Minamikaze regulars, it drops for free and straightens and goes again.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, you're right, Kaiora.
Yeah, and
the attacking player gains the fate on the ring.
Yeah, but it also means you can like attack on, I don't know, crappy Earth ring. Or not crappy Earth, crappy air early game, for example, when it doesn't matter so much. And then just because it's like air always gets fate on it early game, right? Like,
yeah,
every time. And then you just swap it to, I don't know, fire or water or whatever, void or earth, whatever ring you want, and just take the fate off it.
I completely agree. That card is mental.
From memory, the way I read it though, you can also swap it on the defensive, so the attacking player Is it when you're attacking? I was
No,
pretty sure
just
when I read it,
participating.
It's
You
a
can do
yeah,
it.
so-
conflict. Yeah.
there's like, oh no, my opponent's gonna strip the fate off my guy. I don't know. Who's someone that matters? Not Elton Sani, stupid clan champion. It's got to be someone good. What's his name? Moto Chagatai. Let's say Chagatai's got a fate and they're attacking with Void. You
No,
instead...
he's unique. You can't disguise unique characters.
No,
Yeah.
I
Is
mean,
that-
once
is
you've
that
got
where
this
you're going?
gameplay, if you've got a Void on Chagatai, a fate on Chagatai, right? And your opponent's attacking Void and they're going to claim the ring, you defend
Oh,
with
yeah,
this
yeah,
guy,
swap
switch
it.
it to
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and just shut him down. Like, it's just really strong. And for only a
Like-
4-cost, that's a really good ability.
Yeah, I think his stat line is really good. 4 for 4,
Yeah.
2 with 1 glory.
Yeah.
Bushi Cavalry.
And most of the time, he's going to be your third conflict from HMT, right? So you straighten someone and swing back in with a 4 strength military.
Yeah, definitely
absolutely.
could.
Probably
That's
it's going to
super
cost
good.
you 1 or 2 fate, or
Yeah.
none.
So sounds like, yeah, so I reckon Keeper of Water or Keeper of Earth for Unicorn is going to be good. The thing about Earth becomes Sky and Unicorn is you have to splash Phoenix for it. And I don't know that Phoenix offer that much extra for Unicorn other than like
It's
display power.
Just display. Yeah, but that on its own is pretty good, right?
I'm not sure. I think that as I play this game more, I tend to look for things that synergize. So I'm not really sure how it fits into the Unicorn game plan. So who do we have on last time? Who was talking about like propelling themselves off of the opponent's brakes
It was Jack.
with the lion, Jack, right? So yeah, I think that's a game plan where display of power can do that for you. If Unicorn can find a way to do that, then I'm kind of all for it. But you know, I'm not sure what else
Look,
Phoenix
I
are
think, man,
offering.
if Lion can do it, Unicorn can. Unicorn
Can they?
have
What
got-
like
No,
what?
Unicorn have
Like
got way
Unicorn
more
provinces
games than
aren't as good.
Lion. They are for that game plan. Like,
No. Lion provinces are way better for that game plan. They've got
Can't or do is definitely a
Art of War.
province that exists.
Kazordu is fucking.
Yeah, but you don't.
amazing.
But that happens when you hit it. When it breaks,
It's too late. It's better than it on break.
Yeah, you only want it.
No,
You only want it to
it-
activate once, though, right? I mean, it's,
it is. But my point is that you don't need it to break, right? Like you could defend it and not play a display of power, and it would have a not equally as good effect, but it'll still have a very, very good effect. Yeah, and your upper province.
I mean, out of Unicorn though, you can also throw them into that
yeah.
with your talismans. Like, and also you can flip it
Yeah.
back down with all the
Yeah.
Unicorn effects. So Kanzordu is going to keep going. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I feel like
all of those things
defending
are
a conflict as
True.
unicorn just stops you winning in 2 turns, and that's kind of the goal, right? So you may as well just
So
display it and move on.
No, I
feel
think Unicorn are
got better
really-
things.
yeah,
Well-
I don't think display of power is necessarily as good in Unicorn as it is in Lion. So
Well,
I
I mean,
think-
last time I played Butters, who was playing Unicorn at the time, I think the game went for 10 or 11 turns.
It's because people
you're
stop
defending
attacking.
too much, man.
No, I don't defend because I just keep talismaning people into my public forum and then flipping it
Yeah.
back face down. And meanwhile,
Does it
I keep-
lose its honor counter?
yeah. So
Damn.
then they've got to flip it, and then they attack again. You flip it back up and keep going. So
It took me a solid 5 or 6 turns to properly break a province.
and
Well,
but that
goddamn.
but when they say it took a long time, like I have broken all 4 of Mark's provinces at this point, and that's the routine. I
But
get
just
through
kept hitting the stronghold to no effect.
everything, and I just keep
What
bouncing.
the
off
hell was
stronghold.
on the stronghold?
Because
Rebels.
I don't remember.
Revels. You should have been
Yeah,
able to deal with Revels. What's going on, man?
I think it was
No,
it's
see,
not-
because he
fucking
hard
changed
bought
on
the regulars and Chagatai.
You never hard cast regulars.
Oh, well, next time I'll just make sure I draw charge, eh? I'll
Yes,
just
that is
force
the
it.
correct play. Yep, that's the way to do it.
Nah, I think
Smart
what
people
was,
draw charge.
yeah, nah, what was happening is I basically, because the only thing I could attack at this point was the stronghold. And I need, for all my shit to trigger, I need to get a win on military to let Shiatomi encampment work and everything. So that just was
Hmm.
the momentum stalled at that point. Shit
All right.
happens.
Well, should we call it there? Since we're going to do a double episode, we'll be back in front of mics tomorrow. So plenty more to talk about then, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm super keen to keep chatting. I enjoy these little chats.
All right.
Salt mine's cranking.
Yeah, right. So I will. I'll pack it, ship it, and get it up there tonight, and we'll do another one tomorrow. So if you listen to this tomorrow, you'll have another one to look forward to the next day, wherever you happen to be.
That's right. Also, hashtag free the rolls. I'm just saying.
All right. Actually, I would be totally on board with that. Give me back Firequackers. Give it to me. Just give it to me.
I would. You know what? I will be happy to see the Dirty Bird come back if we get to free rolls. I'd be on board.
It's a trade.
Yeah, I can live with that trade too.
You can live with that. All right. Thanks, Mark, for coming on tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
We will talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.